Hi everybody, Jake, your resident content cowboy here. Yeehaw! And I'm very excited today to bring you a video in association with Zoinks here. Hi Zoinks. We are going to be talking about the top 5 teams to watch from the North America region. We obviously have the qualifiers coming up this weekend. The bracket, from what I understand, is massive. I haven't gotten a chance to look at it, but it is a massive bracket, and these are some of the best of the best. And I have someone on the show today. On the show? This is a show now. I have someone on the show today who knows a lot more about this than I do. So I'm really grateful that you are here, dude. Thank you for being here.
No problem. I push my glasses up as I've gotten real nerdy about the Pokemon Unite scene. So if I can be our on the streets reporter for our newly made television show, look, Mom, we made it. I'll gladly take the reins. But yeah, we're looking at the top 5 teams look forward to the Open. You mentioned huge bracket. I know we're sitting at like an over 1,000 team cap. I don't know how close we are. I've heard word though. We're getting up there in numbers, so this is going to be a huge tournament. By far the biggest one we've seen so far.
Well, as I always say, Zoinks, no cap, but I do want to hear about some of these teams, and I'm sure our audience does too. Let's talk about, kind of some of the biggest threats on those teams, as well as what you see from their play style, and maybe if you know like how they have influenced the meta, that could be really interesting too, because you do see certain teams, like one I know we will talk about, TTV being one of the most dominant teams. A lot of what they do influences the meta, but there are players in each role that seem to contribute a lot to the game. So what team do you want to talk about first?
Why don't we kick it off with the name you already mentioned and the name that pretty much everyone already knows in the scene. Let's get that one forefront, and for good reason. This probably is the team that every team should be the most worried about, and if you're a viewer, should be the one that you most want to tune into.
Yeah.
Like you said, this team has definitely defined a lot of meta situations. Maybe not early on in the game. They were actually one of the slowest to adopt this triple bot lane setup, but ever since adopting it, this team has been a dominant force throughout the entire history that we've had in North American Unite. This roster, real quick, is we've got that Goof in attacker lane, Lutano running that top, Indie Bear support, Toon in the jungle, and Zugrug tank. These are names that you've definitely already subscribed to on YouTube and Twitch, so everybody knows this squad, and they have been incredibly strong. In a recent awesome resource put up by a member of the community, they've tracked all their tournament wins since the start of the new year, and they're rocking at an 84% match win rate in every tournament they participated in. That is a lofty number.
Wow, 80. That's better than my solo queue win rate, which is a lot lower. I mean, it's a lot lower than that.
Too.
Yeah, I mean, they're such an incredible team. I feel like they are the kind of team that has they're the kind of team that influences people's tier lists when you go, well, you gotta understand that Pikachu's top tier, and it's like, well, it is. It's a great Pokemon, and also we see one of the best teams out there playing it, so it all of a sudden rises up. It's just, they are, as you said, the dominant team. When you're watching TTV, I mean, I feel like every player is a star, but what are the standouts for you when you're watching a team like that?
Honestly,
and you're about to make enemies of 3 members of TTV.
Absolutely, bring it on. This bot lane is the biggest threat that TTV has to offer. Don't get me wrong, Lutano and Toon, masters of their craft. Toon especially is a incredible threat as a jungle player, but when it comes to me...
how dare you share the love with the whole team? How dare you? You have to call it individuals. I need people to DM you with how upset they are.
Fair enough. Honestly, it's a little bit of a macro decision, and it might be Zugrug sticking to this Wigglytuff that really sets this team apart from the pack. Right now in NA, what we're seeing by far the most is that Slowbro tank in the bottom lane. Having 3 muscle banders on your squad to contest this early farm really lends the early game towards you. But for Zugrug, running that Wiggly and not having that water gun secure, not having that extra range, and still being one of the best bot lanes, probably the best bot lane in the game, is absolutely ridiculous. This team's coordination and individual skill works in tandem in a really harmonious way, and that's what puts this team on top right now.
Yeah, they're just so incredible, and I feel like one thing that's been really popularized in the meta lately, nailed that word, is that bottom is no longer being broken. You see this a lot for a lot of the top teams that leave both bottom goals up. And this has been happening for a little while, but I swear, I feel like people started to notice TTV doing it, and then all of a sudden everyone goes, oh wow, we're not breaking bottom goals anymore. We're leaving them up and we're getting farm. I feel like that's just something that they have contributed to the game very recently. They might not have been the first to do it, but I feel like everyone noticed that they were doing that, and that's been huge for them.
Yeah, definitely macro defining. And I don't think there's any question in terms of who has the best macro in NA. Large, long-time game plans is going to go to TTV. That crown is theirs and pretty uncontestable. However, where I think their crown is contestable, where I think that another team might take a slight edge, is the next one I want to talk about, and is going to be Team Ascendance. If we're talking about 1 and 2 teams, TTV and Ascendance right now are in a constant tug of war to see who should have that top spot. Team Ascendance, if you're unfamiliar with this squad, is Curios attacker, Overlord top, Mopwop support. Recently was Jungle Book in that jungle position, but recently Jungle Book's decided to step away, so they're going to be filling in a jungle spot, and Slashcan tank. So this team is made up of some absolute heavy hitters. Also, not for nothing, has Excellent, a very, very top tier EU tank, as their full-time coach right now. So very big brain, but what I really think puts this team over the edge is just raw mechanical skill. When you watch a few players on this squad, and I'm going to shout out Overlord here specifically, it's like you're watching a whole different Pokemon than what everybody else has access to. Honestly, cracked on the sticks, whatever anecdote I can give them is there. The actual ability to play the game and just outskill opponents is in Ascendance's court. What they are going to do is just outmaneuver you, out button press you, and outscore you at every angle, and that's what makes this team so much of a threat. Their macro may not be quite up to the level of TTV. It's not bad, but their mechanics are really what makes this Ascendance team shine. Not to mention, this squad is currently on a 5-tournament win streak. So they are coming in hot into this first open.
5-tournament win streak, and a lot of people might not know that's a little higher than 4, less than 6, however, and the question is, can they get 6?
This has been an official Content Cowboy math moment. Yeehaw! Whoopsh!
Can they get 6 in a random seeded gigantic double elimination bracket? That is a lot to ask for sure.
I feel like I contributed pretty well to that one. Tell me, what do you think? So you think their crown, the thing that they do the best, we're going to call it their crown, I believe.
Yeah.
Their crown is that they're mechanically amazing at this game, while also, of course, being great at everything else. What could steal their crown away? How could the next team steal their crown away? You've created a reality, Zoinks, where you have to present their crown and explain how the next team could steal that crown. That's on you right now, and I am leaving you out to dry. I hope you're able to do this.
Out to dry. Oh, it's very good. When you play the Game of Thrones, you either win or you die. And so
Very true.
I think that is going to be the case of this open. You either win or you're out. But honestly, if you're going to find a weakness, a hole in the armor, if you will, a gem missing in the crown, I'm trying really hard to keep this.
You're doing great.
But if there is going to be an angle, I am a little concerned about Jungle Book stepping down from this team. Was a really solid caller for this squad, and like in-game communication brought a lot to the table. I'm sure whatever jungle they fit in this spot will still perform very well. I know Chaotic has subbed for this team before. A Talonflame extraordinaire can really, really make some big moves in this game. If you're going to find an angle, though, I think it's going to need to be winning that bot lane hard. Curios has tended to run this Venusaur, has found the most success on the Venusaur in the bottom lane, and if you can outpace that Pokemon in the bottom lane, you can kind of mitigate the endgame effectiveness of that Pokemon. However, the Pikachu is in the back pocket. There's a reason I'm saying this team is number 2, number 1. The gap for finding a win against this team is not large, so definitely always going to be a threat.
Awesome. Let's talk about the next team on your list, Zoinks. And to be clear, this is not my list, so if you're mad at anyone, be mad at Zoinks. I refuse to make a list, because how could you ever?
Oh, so true. Yeah, let's just remember whose channel we're on, chat and comment section. Let's remember. But yeah, Israel, I know that you are a big fan of this next team. Why don't you introduce this squad and their roster?
Our next team is Team Shiny. Their roster is Rin as an attacker, Retsu top, Feppi support, Elo jungle. Is it Elo or ELO?
I've always said Elo.
Me too. Okay.
So I'm going to stick with that.
And Faz as a tank. So Team Shiny is a really interesting team. They were runners-up in the Shiny League, which was like the biggest series of tournaments we've had for Pokemon Unite, and they won the G4 Invitational Tournament. They are also the team that brought Garchomp into the grand finals of a tournament. So, true. I mean, I love the selection on a team like this. I love how versatile it feels like they are, switching between jungle and bot lane. Basically, it's really cool to see, and I think the reason you can never count out Team Shiny is that they can adapt to situations better than other teams. Other teams are playing their strategy, and it feels like Team Shiny has a little bit of a we're gonna play the player, not the game, which I love to see.
I'm fully in agreement with you. I think Team Shiny, where they really shine, is shutting down the other side. I know Faz is a master of this Slowbro, not one of the earliest adopters to that Pokemon, but ever since adding it to their arsenal, their bot lane has beefed up a ton. Not to mention, Faz is one of the few Slowbros in the game right now that is running that telekinesis Slowbro, opting out of that Amnesia super heal kind of build and going for a more CC focused shutdown mentality. What this team does really well is akin to Ascendance, and they outskill a lot of their opponents. I'm looking at Retsu, I'm looking at Rin, and I'm looking at Elo, who famously runs triple damage items every time that they are in the jungle. So no need for defense, no need for buddy barrier. We're running all those high crit items. So definitely an outskill team, and one that will take you off guard just because of their ridiculous plays, whether that be in their Elo damage dealing or Rin just pulling out a crazy Pokemon that somehow masterfully fits into the squad.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you have any predictions as to what you might see them run in the tournament. Do you have any ideas? I mean, are we going to see a Charizard? Will we see that Garchomp come back?
I actually, for the first time, Jake, I may be actually saying that I'm confident we'll see a Charizard.
Whoa!
I think that Pokemon is really strong in this meta right now. I hate to say it, I was such a Charizard disbeliever for so long, but I do think that that Pokemon is really strong. And Elo and Rin's ability to swap between the lane position and jungle position constantly makes this team such an incredible threat. In other esports, for that kind of switch to happen, we're looking at full-on player roster swaps in between games to try to just make that happen. But this squad has the skill and the trust in one another to not have to rely on that. So really impressive from this squad. If I need to see anything from Team Shiny's improvement to see them run through this bracket, earn that top 16 spot and make it to the cup, I think it's going to be a little bit of this macro rotation style thing. High skill teams can kind of fall into this trap every now and then, is we're worrying a little bit too much about what all the resources we individually need to get. Maybe we're spending a bit too much time farming, maybe we're chasing down some KOs and territories we shouldn't be, and not rotating to these objectives. That could be a thorn in Shiny's side. But if I'm being honest, not a terribly hard one to remove when they're grinding out scrims every day this week in preparation for this tournament.
Awesome. You didn't mention a crown at all, but I'm not upset with you. Why don't you tell us about our next team?
Okay, so this next team, honestly, a little bit of an announcement. There has been talk of this team for a long time, of IX Gaming. Now, IX Gaming has been through a roller coaster of players this past week, and Tyre was on this team, Aphelion was on this team. Those teams not together anymore, but this is the squad going into this open that I am really excited to see. On this squad, we have OG in top, Volby as their jungler, and then LKJ, Tyvusol, and Junkie filling out that bottom line. These might not be names that everyone is familiar with, but the team of IX Gaming has found a lot of success. Not to mention that G4 Invitational being that runner-up squad moving in and just really proving to be a absolutely strong threat. IX Gaming, they are newly forming right now. Like I said, this squad has got a couple of new players swapped in and out, but the threats that I'm looking at most here are going to be OG in that top lane. Has been an incredible Lucario ever since the start of the game. The only criticism that people have brought on has been a bit of a one-trick, but I had the chance to cast this team in a draft tournament, and OG showed an incredible performance on some other top laners, namely Serena. So, gonna be a strong threat. Bulby Jungle has been a huge success a lot of the time so far, and Tybasol is my pick for the top 2 Pikachu in NA right now. Tybasol has adopted that Pikachu way earlier than the rest of the pack and has been an excellent player. So shout outs Ty, shout out to that Pikachu for sure.
I'm not surprised that we are seeing them enter this qualifier in some way, and this is getting way ahead of ourselves, but I don't know even what this is going to start to look like as the season kind of these qualifying matches and monthly finals as it kind of rolls on, because players get individual points, and
that's true.
There's gonna be a whole thing, but we don't need to get into that now. I'm very interested. Yes.
Another episode of our show.
I hope they don't cancel us. There was word that they might cancel us.
Yeah, I heard something about saying the same word too many times. Starts with a C, ends with an own. We'll try to avoid it.
Yeah, there's no point to talk about it. Let's talk about the next crown. Let's talk about the next team that you have on this list here. And they had a bit of an announcement on your show last night, right?
Yeah, that's right. So, sorry, no free shoutouts. I'll pay you later. Don't worry. But shoutouts to my podcast, Overdunk. I'm trying to talk to a lot of these top teams about their roster, what they're feeling going into these tournaments. So, shoutouts there. Go check it out if you want to hear these teams talk.
Zoinks, $800.
Yeah, that's a steep bill, but I am willing to take upon the crown of humility to pay it to you.
Charge interest. Okay,
this
great.
team formerly was known as Sucker Punch. This squad, you've seen in so many of your brackets, this team has definitely been going on a run, always being a threat, but never quite breaking into that top echelon of teams. And that might be the reason I put them on my list, is I have a little bit of faith in this squad to upset some teams and really make a really good name for themselves now that these world qualifiers are moving forward. And now that their roster has been locked in. This team was in a desperate search for a top laner. And when I say search, I mean quite literally. This team might be one of the first teams we've had in the Unite scene to run very formal tryouts for multiple of their positions. A player for their squad named Azmat used to be their top laner, stepped down into a management role, and has then run these tryouts, trying to find people that they think fit into their squad, which is a very, very tight-knit team. The roster as it stands now is Arg in that attacker role, Sanji running the top for them. They're going to have Froskuren in the support role. That's right, it's that Froskuren, as well as Datboy Muck in the jungle and Slothgoss as a tank. So a really, really nice squad.
What do you think you would be looking for if you're watching this team? I mean, where are the spots? I feel like when I hear Sanji in the top, that's obviously a huge get for them. But what do you think are their big strengths or their big key players?
If you're looking for key players, I think it is... I'm going to shout out Muck. I may be getting known a little bit in the community as a Datboy Muck simp when it comes to it, but I think that Muck in this jungle position is one of the best, I think the best Greninja in the game, but that is not the only Pokemon they can play. A very explosive player, and a player that loves to use their Unite move very proactively, and you could even say maybe a little bit too much at times. This team loves to push every advantage they get. If they see a window, they are busting through it James Bond style. So this team is going to be a very strong aggressive team. And I don't think I actually mentioned their new name. They're going to be going as Team Glitch now. So they did just find a team sponsor. They are now a newly sponsored team, joining the very few that we have in the North America scene. So congrats to them. They're getting paid.
Yeah, and that's the big takeaway here, is that they are now getting paid. And I really want people to walk away from this video knowing who is getting paid, who is not getting paid. Zoinks, thank you for doing this, man. Thank you for being here and giving everyone this rundown. I really appreciate it. Let people know where they can find you. This one I won't charge you for.
Oh, thank you so much. I get my one freebie, but I used it second, so that's
Actually,
fair.
maybe I will.
You
Go ahead.
can find me on Twitter at ZoinksCast, and you can also find my voice if you want to hear it, and the Overdunk podcast, anywhere podcasts can be found, and on YouTube. I am a caster for Unite Mics. We're a group of Pokemon Unite casters. We grinding out a ton of top commentary for tournaments and just different events like that. But find podcasts like mine, podcasts like Late Night Unite, all over there at youtube.com/Unite Mics.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for listening. Let me know what you enjoyed about this in the comments, and please be nice to Zoinks. I'm only kidding with him, and he will pay. I promise he'll pay. All right.
I love you, comments.
Goodbye, everybody. I love you.
Crown.
Crown. Good.